Hello and welcome back to another episode of Slick Willy Fly. So what we're going to do today is a CDC Spinner. Same as I have in the vise, same as I have here. Little quick motivational story here. So my motivation for this fly. I recently came back from a trip to Madrid and Spain, and I was with my wife and my brother and my sister-in-law. We had this phenomenal trip. And part of the trip, we went up through Segovia into a wine region called Ribera del Duero. And we went to a couple of wineries and just phenomenal. I highly recommend it. And we ended up at this one particular winery that was so spectacular. We didn't have a reservation, we didn't have an appointment, but they were so nice. It was so beautiful. And it's one of these places that I definitely want to go back to. The staff was wonderful. Even though we didn't have a reservation, they still took time and gave us a tour and it was just great. And then we ended up in their bodega and we got to do a little wine tasting, and man, it's just top notch. And that particular place, in that particular winery, is called Abadia Retuerta. And it just made me, it motivated me to say, gosh, I want to make a fly. Like if I was going to go take a trip to Spain, what fly would I want to bring with me? So I started and I made a few caddises, which I love. And then I decided that I wanted to make this beautiful spent spinner. And the reason that I just think that the spent spinner is like, it's this beautiful, delicate, looks complex, but it's not fly that it just is a fly that I think I would definitely take to Spain and catch fish. And it's my motivation. The wine was my motivation for this fly. And let's get in on it. So I personally like to tie spinners in different colors. I very much like these light colors, so that's why I'm doing a tan version today. But I'll tie it in olive. I'll tie it in size 16, 18. I'm doing a 12 right now for the purpose of the video. Make it a little bit larger. Hopefully you'll be able to see it a little bit better. So in the vise, I'm putting in a Tiemco size 12. This is the 2487. It's a caddis hook, but I think that this hook actually is very good for this fly. So I'm going to use a light olive thread. It's an 8/0, still a strong thread, and I think that the light olive thread again just works very good with the color combo that I'm going for. Now, I'm not going to use any synthetic quills for the tail, which I think that the synthetic quills look great and they're, I think, easier to tie. But I like the look of this pheasant tail. This is it's a bleached pheasant tail. They call this bleached ginger. So I'm just going to go ahead and take off 3 fibers. Ideally, you don't want to take more than 3 fibers because you don't need more than 3 fibers. And I don't yank them off, I actually cut them off. So I'm going to go for 2 hook lengths, hook shanks. And that's my tie-in point. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a couple of wraps. Make sure that I like the way it's sitting on top of the hook. I'm going to go ahead and pull that tight. Now I'm going to come under, which starts getting it to splay, just like you see here. And back over. I like that. wrap it up the shank and cut off my tag. I'm going to go ahead and bring my thread back to where I had the tail. Careful. And I'm going to go ahead and double up the body. So for this body, what I'm using, I have this little homemade dubbing that I really like. This is a blend of when I pull out the short hair for when I use craft fur, this is a blend of cream, yellow, craft fur, and a little bit of ginger sanyo fusion dubbing. And I just put it all together and blend it. And some people use coffee grinders. I didn't actually use a coffee grinder with this one, but they work great. You just pulse and it does a great job blending. So I'm going to go ahead and dub up this body. And when you dub, I guess we never really have talked about dubbing. When I dub, I try to use just a tiny amount of dubbing at a time. And a rule of thumb that I was taught a long time ago that I've seen a lot of people talk about is if you take dubbing and you just drop it, see that fell too quickly. That was too much dubbing. So you just want to take a little bit of dubbing and you want to drop it, and see how that fell much slower? That's the amount of dubbing that you want to use. So when you dub, the point of dubbing is to put the fibers on the thread, to wrap around the thread. So you don't want to twist your fingers back and forth. You want to twist in one direction all the time. So I'm going to take my dubbing, I'm going to put it on my thread, and I got a piece of dark, get that out of there. Okay, get some fresh dubbing and put it on my thread. And now all I'm doing, it's hard to see, I'm just twisting in one direction, getting my fibers to wrap around the thread. Now, some people use wax, and that's fine. You can use a wax. You can use a thread that comes pre-waxed. That's fine. It's not really necessary though. I just keep tightening my dubbing as I go, and all I'm doing is wrapping the body. And you can make the body as thin or as thick as you want by moving the thread up and down the body here. I'm not trying to make a super thick body. I've found that a lot of times when I see bugs floating on the river dead, because really ultimately that's what this is. This is imitating a dead bug. They don't look like huge bodies. So I think that's plenty for now. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a couple of CDC feathers, and I'm using tan CDC right here. So I just want to pull out a couple of feathers. That'll work. Just to give you an example. So I pulled out 2 feathers. Actually, I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to get a second feather here. A lot of times the feathers that I pull out, they're not necessarily the same length. That doesn't mean I can't use them. Alright, so I got 2 feathers that are clearly not the same length, as you can see here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my tips together, just like that. And I actually want my wing to be about as long as the tail. So I have the tail as a guide, and now I'm going to go ahead and stroke these fibers, make my life a little bit easier, stroke everything forward here, and I'm going to set it on the hook in the same length as the tail in my tie-in spot. I'm going to give this a little spin, because what that does is it makes the thread wrap back towards my fingers like I want. couple of loose wraps, making sure that the CDC is sitting where I want it, and it is. So now I'm going to pull tight. Now I'm going to pull the CDC up, and I'm going to wrap behind it, under it. And again, I'm going to go behind and under. So now the CDC is on there nice and hard. So now the trick is to get a little bit more dubbing in front of the CDC. So I'm going to come back to my dubbing. And you really truly don't need very much. I mean, you're talking very small amount of hook shank space in front of this CDC now. So I'm going to stroke it to the back, stroking it to the back, and I'm going to wrap my dubbing just like that. Perfect. So now what I want to do is I want to basically separate the two feathers, which I think look really great. And I'm going to bring the stem forward, separating the two feathers, and it makes like a little wing case. Sometimes I moisten my fingers just to help keep everything back. So I'm going to capture this wing case. I'm going to go under it a couple wraps. And now I can trim this away. Careful to only trim the wing case. Beautiful. So now I'm just going to clean it up quick and put a whip finish in. And this fly is basically finished. I absolutely love this fly. I've caught a lot of fish. The trout love it. The grayling love it. The Arctic char love it. This is just a great fly. And I really think that the tan colors look just spectacular. So there it is. I don't know if I take it out of the vise to show you or not show you, but actually I will take it out of the vise. I hope you enjoyed this fly. I really hope that you hit the like and subscribe. If you're one of my regulars, you know I try not to push brands and stuff, but I gotta tell you, this wine, Abadia Retuerta, I know they sell this all over the world. We asked, and I just sent a couple of bottles to my relatives in Florida. This is worth trying. It's not a pricey wine at all, and it's just absolutely delicious. And I think it's gonna look great when I put this fly on this cork and take my pictures. I think it's gonna look great. I think they go good together. So I hope you like the fly. I hope you hit the like and subscribe. Don't forget to come back and see you on the next video with hopefully a cocktail or a glass of wine. Thanks for watching.